What's up, guys, and welcome to my new series called Plugged In Sessions with Shanahan. Over the next several weeks, we're going to be going through a lot of different plugins, new and old, to hopefully open your eyes for any plugins that you've missed, or if you guys get any techniques from what I'm doing inside the box. The entire point is to hopefully help out producers on finding new plugins, finding new ways around these certain plugins that I'm going to show. For today's first episode, I want to start with a very special but very simple plugin called Fresh Air. It came out not too long ago from Slate Digital. It's an absolutely incredible plugin, and it has many different jobs, but the best thing about this actual interface is it's so user-friendly. It's crazy. It's very simple, but it also creates a lot of impact and has a lot more going on than we think. For the better. It's quite incredible how simply laid out it is, but what it can do for your productions is very, very incredible. So let's get right into it, guys. Let's open up this plugin. What we're going to work on today for this example is a drop group and also a vocal group. Slate Digital definitely pushes this for working with vocals, but also many different other sounds. I like grouping stuff out, creating bus groups and working that way with this Fresh Air plugin, rather than putting it on everything at once. That's just my personal preference. You guys can completely mess with it and experiment and see what works best for you. But I'll show you guys what I mean. First, let me just play the example of the production I'm working on today so we can get used to it.
Without you, without you beside me. Without you, without you, I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid anymore.
All right, really cool vibe track that I'm kind of putting together for today's example. Very straightforward and simple. What I want to show, guys, is that drop rack you can see here. I feel like it's a little dull, and this Slate Digital plugin is so good for any dull sounds and stuff you want to come out in the mix, specifically the high sparkle that could be missing. This plugin is incredible. So if I load this up on my group, and we'll go down here and we'll go to Fresh Air. What we're going to look for, guys, in this interface before we start is obviously our main interface has these two knobs that are so user-friendly. It's straightforward, mid frequencies, high frequencies, but what you guys need to notice here specifically with the highs is it's going to add that presence without introducing harshness. That's why I love this plugin. That's why I'm starting episode 1 with something so simple but so much impact like this one here. What we need to really focus on when we're adding any highs or mids is we've got to look at the trim. So what they have down here, guys, is that's going to help your overall output level. The more highs and mids you add, you're also adding output gain. So if you want to control the gain match of everything that's going on that you're adding, you need to bring the trim down as you're bringing some of the highs and mids up. So you kind of want to find that happy medium. So let's hear this main difference as I'm just adding some highs to this chord group. And guys, what I recommend, as I always talk in my videos about, is going very, very far with the parameters until it kind of sounds bad and dial back to find that kind of thin line of where you know it's kind of the sweet spot. I'll do the same with mids. I think the mids are okay in this drop rack, but I'd like to kind of bring more presence out of the mids if I could. And you guys can lock. They have a lock option to do both at the same. I like kind of doing the parameters one by one. There's only 2-3 parameters here, so it's not a big deal, but they do have that there for you guys. And going forward with a couple more things with the plugin, they do have a factory bank in here with a few presets if you guys want to check that out. Again, my personal preference is dialing things in from scratch because it is very simplistic. Simple power knob is your bypass, and you also have your bypass here and your DAW on and off. So speaking of bypass, let's hear the difference right here. Right, night and day difference there, guys, and that's really the entire simple eye-opener to episode 1 is A simple plugin that can go a long way. Now, this can work really well on vocals, which I'm going to show in a moment. But what we want to do when we're checking something like this is check it in the mix. I know we're hearing solo right now just for the example. Let's see how it's sounding in the mix with everything. Really cutting through the mix a lot more. I could probably bring the trim down. I feel like it introduced maybe a dB or so. That's up to you guys. The trim is there as a great option to say, all right, well, the mids and highs that I'm pushing on whatever sound source you're feeding it through, this being the drop rack, it's going to introduce more output. So you guys got to find that trim level that kind of works well for you. So let's move over to the vocals here, guys. The vocal group. I'm not saying this vocal is dull, but if you are coming across a duller vocal, this is going to be perfect. This plugin is really going to go a long way for you guys. And I want you also to take note, guys, when you are opening fresh air on a vocal, if the vocal is wet and processed already, remember in the back of your mind that it's now going to be hiking all that reverb, delay, maybe chorus, whatever you have processed on the vocal. So sometimes you might want to look at experimenting on the dry vocal take and the wet vocal take to see which one's kind of working better for you. I like experimenting on both and kind of finding the best, but you got to keep that in mind that now this vocal is processed, its fresh air is going to be really emphasizing that.
No, I'm not, no, I'm not, I'm not afraid, no, I'm not, no, I'm not, I'm not afraid, no, I'm not, no, I'm not.
Like, the best thing is you kind of notice how dull things are in the mix when you bypass this, because sometimes you get so used to your record you think it's just good as is, which sometimes might be the case. But that's why a plugin like this goes a long way, is because you'll start to notice, wow, that vocal is so hidden, or wow, that sound was so dull. You know, this is a night and day difference.
No, I'm not, no, I'm not, I'm not afraid, no, I'm not, no, I'm not, I'm not afraid.
And it's introducing maybe a dB, not too worried about it. I will bring it back a touch, but sometimes when you're doing it on bigger groups with a lot going on, you'll notice a huge jump in the overall output, so that trim will really come into effect. So let's now hear this all in the mix.
Without you, without you, without you beside me, without you, without you, without you, I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid anymore.
Yeah, 9-day difference, guys. Slate Digital even could tell you to throw it on the master, the main mix bus, if you guys want. There is a preset in there if you guys want to mess with that. Just get some polish on the main mix bus. I prefer to do it on individual buses, you know, rather than everything, because you guys got your kicks, you know, your perks coming through and effects. Sometimes I don't really like this certain plugin on that, but it's there. It could work. For sure, experiment with it, but like I said, individual racks and groups is definitely where I find the best results, like we looked at today. So that's it for today's first episode, guys. Again, fresh air from Slate Digital. Absolutely an incredibly useful plugin. User friendly too is the best thing, guys. Any type of producer, new or professional, expert, it doesn't matter. You're going to find this very useful in your productions. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care.